Hey ladies, I want to share something with you guys that God has really been teaching me in my marriage. And if you're not a wife yet, that's okay. But if you are preparing for marriage, then this is also for you too. When I first got married, I had this idea of what being a wife meant. But the more that I sought God, and the more that He revealed to me that His design for marriage was so much deeper than what I had even imagined. And at times I was so focused on what I wanted to see in my husband that I didn't stop to ask God, am I being the wife that He's called me to be? God began to show me that my role as a wife wasn't even about control or correction or trying to make things go my way, because we're all guilty of it, right? It was more so about trusting God. And one of the biggest things that God has taught me was the power of my words. In Proverbs chapter 14, verse 1, it says, "The wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands, the foolish one tears hers down." And I had to really sit and ask myself with conviction, am I using my words to build my husband up, or am I doing that to unknowingly tear him down? And I really started to notice how my tone and my responses affected the atmosphere of my home when I spoke life and peace, and when I prayed over my husband instead of reacting in frustration. I saw God move, and I realized that being a wife isn't about fixing or changing anyone. It's about surrendering to God's design, surrendering my husband and my marriage to God, and allowing Him to work in the both of us, not just my husband, but both of us. Another area that God refined me in was trusting His order for marriage. In Ephesians chapter 5, verse 23 reminds us that the husband is the head of the wife, just as Christ is the head of the church. But submission isn't just about being silent or weak, because we get that perception, right? It's about partnering with God's plan. It's about allowing my husband to step fully into leadership, the role that God has called him to, while I support and encourage him. And one of the most beautiful things that God has revealed to me as a wife was that marriage is a reflection of Christ's love for the church. It has absolutely nothing to do with who's right or wrong, or who's in control, or who's leading better. Like, it's truly about just serving one another and honoring one another and loving one another in the way that glorifies God. And when I stopped trying to do things my way all the time and truly sought to walk in His purpose, I found more joy and more peace and unity with my husband and my marriage than I could have ever even thought possible. And so I just want to encourage you ladies that God didn't call us to be our husband's critic, okay? I know we struggle with that, but He has called us to be His encourager, His safe place, His partner in this mission of marriage. And He's designed us to be a reflection of His love and His grace and God's wisdom in our homes. God created woman as a helpmeet, not because we are less than, but because our role is so vital. And so if you've ever felt like you're constantly trying to fix things in your marriage, I really just want to encourage you to please pause and ask the Lord, what do you want me to do? How can this refine me? What do you want to refine me in? And because when we allow Him to shape us, our marriages become a testimony of His faithfulness. And so let's just encourage one another and be intentional about building, not tearing down, and encouraging, not criticizing, trusting, not controlling, because a godly wife doesn't just wait for a strong marriage. She co-labors. Oh, I love that. Co-labors with God to cultivate one.